Hello everyone, I'm Barbara McRae. Welcome to Littleton Common. Are the months getting shorter or is it just me? Here we are in April, and did you survive the winter and the rain in March? A few of our friends had to pump out basements. Last year it was buy a generator for our heaters and lights, and this year it was buy a water pump. Let's just hope we can relax now and enjoy spring. And in the spring, what do we have? Tax time. But you don't have to worry over it because Tony Jasinski is still here at the Council on Aging each Tuesday all through April, giving assistance to you seniors. So make that appointment and see Tony. But call 978-540-2470 for an appointment. I'm happy to hear that so many of you came in with questions for Senator Eldridge. How else will he know what Littleton residents are concerned about? And I have a few questions myself. Good morning, Senator, and welcome.
Yes, thank you.
Now that both the Senate and the House has indicated that a 4% cut in local aid, and especially in school funding, what are you hearing from the towns you represent?
Well, Barbara, thanks for having me on today, and it was great to talk to the Littleton seniors today. There were a lot of great questions asked about a lot of topics. This wasn't one of the questions, so I'm glad you asked. And first of all, we have to remember that we're still in the middle of one of the biggest financial crises this country has ever faced. And so unfortunately, that's decreased our revenues, and that's why the Senate and House leadership are talking about a 4% cut. It's not something I'm happy about. I've gone before now all of the boards of selectmen, including in Littleton, over the past couple months, and people are concerned about those cuts. And what we really are trying to do is be upfront with people that there are going to be some cuts, and I think it's important to realize all the other programs, the state government funds, whether home care services, of course, councils on aging, environmental protection, health care. These are all areas, and so what we're suggesting is a shared sacrifice that unfortunately includes local aid. I'm fighting for level funding for local aid, but I don't think that's going to happen, and we wanted to get these numbers to the towns as soon as possible so they could plan their budget to expect that cut. So I'm certainly, again, fighting for level funding of local aid, but I don't think it's going to happen, and that's why I wanted to be upfront about those numbers.
What is the Senate doing to reduce the loss of jobs in the state?
I think one of the frustrations I've had, and I think a lot of other people have in this state and really across the country, is that what's happened on the federal level has not allowed for a lot of lending to small businesses. There's been a lot of bailouts of big banks, but not focusing on money to small businesses, which are the backbone of the economy in Massachusetts and especially in this area. So the Senate President and Senator Karen Spilka have proposed an economic development reorganization to make our economic development agencies more efficient, more accountable, and also that would provide more lending to small businesses. I know of a lot of small businesses, including here in Littleton, that are looking to hire people, but they can't access the capital from traditional banks, especially big banks. So this would provide perhaps security for banks to do that loaning, maybe loaning from something like a state-owned bank that would get small businesses creating jobs, and that would help the economy. So that's something that the Senate's focused on. I'm a big supporter of that, and I do think that we also have to look at provisions like investment in public transportation, because if we can improve the Littleton the Littleton station, we can improve more people coming out here to companies like IBM, and that'll be better for the town as general.
Does the Senate have an Elder Affairs Committee, and if so, what do they do for our COA councils?
Mm-hmm. Yes, there is a joint committee on Elder Affairs, and I'm actually a member of the committee, and so the biggest thing that we do is advocate for fair funding for seniors. So our top priority is funding for councils on aging, for home care services, for nursing homes for those seniors who need them. And we've also weighed in on things like the safe driving bill to make sure that it's a fair bill for seniors, which I think we've accomplished. So it really is a way to advocate on a number of these issues. It's a very active committee. I think one of the other provisions that I'd like to see the committee work on is expanding the Senior Citizen Circuit Breaker program, which provides money for seniors to volunteer. I know you do so much, Barbara. I know so many seniors do so much here in Littleton, and we want to increase that funding from the state levels to allow seniors to volunteer more and stay active.
Thank you. It was good to have you here.
Absolutely. Thanks again, Barbara. Appreciate all your work.
And by the way, they are working on a new law. No texting while driving. Are we crazy? Looking away from the road to text? Some people can't chew gum and walk, but text and drive? Why don't you bring the whole computer with you while you're driving? And they complain about senior drivers. Using a phone and texting in the car is not only dangerous, but it has taken away many manners we once had on the road. Now, if you let someone pass or make a turn in front of you, you see a phone in their ear, but no wave of thanks. Well, of course, it's impossible because your hands are full. Hello, you're welcome. That reminds me that handicapped car applications are available at the COA office. Tina Mader's Living Alone support group will meet in room 230 on Thursday, April 15th at 10:30 in the morning. If you're alone and wish to join this group, then call Tina at 540-2472. There was such a nice crowd here in March. I think it's a good time to connect with other seniors and compare experiences. Now we have a new member of Littleton Common. Dr. Patricia Sardella is here as my guest today, and then also will be joining us each month starting in May with advice concerning health care. The blood pressure clinics, April 13th, 11 to noon at the Senior Diner. Pine Tree Park Community Room will have its next blood pressure clinic in May. The podiatry clinic this month is on April 28th in room 233. Dr. Sandra Weekland will be there from 1 to 2 p.m. and the cost is $25. Now, let's go to Gail Dalton at the Senior Diner. Hi, Gail. What's happening this month?
Hello, Barbara. For the month of April, like I said, spring has sprung. There's a lot going on in this building and around the town. So for the diner alone, on April 7th will be the birthday luncheon. Minuteman will, pay for everybody's lunch. And on that day, they're having chicken with a lemon mustard sauce, O'Brien potatoes and broccoli, and of course COA provides a beautiful birthday cake. So everyone whose birthday is in April, please sign up and Minuteman will pay for your lunch. And then the ladies' breakfast will be Thursday the 8th, and the men's breakfast will be the 21st, which is also the same day of the lighting department luncheon over at the Russell School. So for here, the diner will not be doing a sit-down lunch. We're only going to be doing Meals on Wheels because majority of everybody usually goes over there for their lunch for the lighting department. And also on the 22nd is going to be Senator Eldridge, his annual senior conference, and it's going to be at the Assabet Valley Regional Technical School. That's going to be Thursday the 22nd from 9 a.m. to 3 p.m. And Senator Eldridge was here last week, and he actually told us all the activities that will be going on. And they will provide transportation, so you just make sure you call, and they'll make sure you get a ride to there and home, okay? And I made a mistake. I said the birthday lunch was the 7th. It's actually going to be the 14th, the day of the men's breakfast, because it's the second Wednesday of every month, and since April 1st falls on a Thursday, so it pushes everything back. But I hope to see everybody down. The weather is getting nicer. As you can see, started to work on my tan. So I've already got that going on. So everyone start coming in, okay? Can't wait to see you guys.
The Littleton Senior Club will meet on April 26th at 1:30 p.m. in the Senior Diner. If you want to be on the nominating committee for the new board, then let Mary Gosby know and get ready to vote at the May 17th meeting. There's plenty to keep you busy in April, so check our calendar and mark yours. It's time to get out and about. The Friends of the Council on Aging are planning a tea and piano concert with Diane Dexter in the multi-purpose room, first floor here at Shattuck Street, on Wednesday, April 28th from 1 to 2 p.m. The room is going to be filled with music from Broadway show tunes, a sing-along, and many oldies. I can relate, can't you? There will be tea and desserts, so come in, relax, and enjoy. And thank you to Ellie and Bill Duran for donating a piano to the Council on Aging for our multi-purpose room. Our other piano needed tuning, so we have moved it to another part of the building and will give it the attention it needs. Barbara Cam and I have been planning explorers trips for the past 4 or 5 years. With other commitments, we have decided to pass that job on to anyone interested in carrying on from here. Till then, we will have movies and an occasional travelogue right here in the COA Activities Room, number 230, on the 2nd floor. Our large 52 television is ready and waiting for the latest movies, and of course some oldies but goodies. Coffee, tea, and snacks are served, so why don't you and your calendar and your friends come in to room 230. At least mark your calendar, excuse me. I want to make sure you know that's what I said. Mark your calendar and come in with a friend to room 230 on April 29th at 1 p.m. for the Academy Award-winning movie, The Blind Side. Our Wii Bowling is on Friday mornings at 10, and they're looking for people who want to join them. You have to believe me, this is fun and it's healthy. There's no stress involved, just plain fun. So come in any Friday morning and watch. You can play Wii and go to lunch at the senior diner. A full day and you'll feel better for it. We're also looking for Scrabble and Mahjong players, so if you're interested, call 540-2470. And finally, we have someone who will teach us how to play pool, or maybe just to remind you how to play. Sean Denmark will be here on Tuesdays from 10 to 11 in the morning in our pool room, and that's number 230. The cost is $2 per person. Call the COA office and sign up. The pool table is sitting there and it's just waiting for you. Watercolor classes are here again starting Wednesday, April 14th, and that'll be from 9 to 11:30 in room 233. There's 6 lessons and it will cost you $30. You may call the Council on Aging to register at, again, 540-2470. The Matter of Balance class with Joanne McCool of Life Care Center of Neshoba Valley has been a real success. This 8-week class was designed to reduce the fear of falling and increase the activity levels of anyone who has concerns about falling. If you missed this class and are interested, call the COA at 540-2470 and maybe we can convince Joanne to come back with another 8-week class. We held our thrift shop sale earlier this season, and of course, thanks to you, it was, again, a success. The money from the sale goes to the Friends of the Council on Aging for senior programs and Tina Mader's outreach requests. So thank you for your continued support of the thrift with your purchases and donations. But remember now, the shop will be closed for seasonal changes the week of April 5th through April 9th. Come in and see our spring and summer selection on the 12th. Ellen Arugio was here last month to show us how to wear a scarf. And since then, if you've seen Ellen, she's wearing her scarves almost daily and doing a great job of it. This month, Ellen is here to give you a quick peek at what we will have for summer, maybe with a scarf. First of all, Ellen is a cute size, so it'll be easy for her to find something to show off. But we do have many sizes, and especially get some gorgeous, larger sizes. So if you are a plus, come in and see what we have, and you will be pleasantly surprised. Thank you for the wonderful baked goods that were donated to the drop-in room for Senator Eldridge's visit and Tina Mader's Home Alone group. We appreciated it so very much, Linda. If you are interested in donating, please call 540-2470 or me or Barbara Cam at 486-4360 and leave your name. I know you're happy to hear that the Littleton Light Department is holding its annual Spring Fling Luncheon. See, they didn't forget us. It will be held on April 21st, same time, noon, the same place, Russell Street School. It is free, but you must sign up at the COA office, and again, call the number 540-2470. On Thursday, April 22nd, the Senior Citizens Conference will be hosted by Senator Eldridge. It will be held from 9 in the morning to 3 p.m. at Assabet Valley Regional Technical High School, where there will be workshops, informational tables, health screening, a very nice lunch, also entertainment, and a chance at winning one of dozens of door prizes. This is a day that's free, folks, with lots of good information for our senior community. You must call our office for a ticket, so call, guess what, 540-2470, and spend that day with Senator Eldridge. Evanthea Valakis has news from Indian Hill and what's happening this month.
Thanks, Barbara. It's April and spring is in full swing over here at Indian Hill, and coming right up on April 10th, Saturday night, April 10 at 7:30, the Orchestra of Indian Hill's finale concert. We're calling it Made in the USA on April 10 at Littleton High School. What it is going to be great music by great American composers. We're talking Copland's Appalachian Spring, Schumann's New England Triptych, and Bernstein's Serenade, featuring the Japanese violin sensation Ryu Goto, who is the brother of Midori. So you don't want to miss this concert on Saturday, April 10, 7:30 over at Littleton High School. Give us a call, 486-9524 for ticket info, or check us out online at indianhillmusic.org for the Orchestra of Indian Hill's season finale on April 10. Our famous box lunch concert, featuring free concerts with our faculty. This month, it's going to be Thursday, April 15th, and we're going to have 2 shows this time. We're starting a new format, 2 shows, and those are going to be at 11 a.m. and then again at 1:30 p.m. And we're taking reservations this time, so 486-9524. If you have experienced a crowded box lunch in the past and you want to make sure you can get in, give us a call. And that's April 15, and it's going to be an all Chopin piano program with pianist Jenny Tang, okay? And if you like all vocal rock, a cappella is really big right now, so all vocal rock, we've got one of the top bands in the area, 5 O'Clock Shadow, coming here to Indian Hill on Friday, April 16th at 7:30 p.m. And check us out for tickets on that. Tickets are $20 for adults and $15 for students. April 16, 5 O'Clock Shadow. And over at the Kaleidoscope Gallery, our chamber music series continues with a trio of musicians who play in our orchestra here at Indian Hill. Flutist Melissa Melans, Nancy Dimmock, and Bonnie Anderson. 3 of them together will be performing works by Chopin and Vivaldi and Harbison and others, and that's Saturday, April 24th, over at the Kaleidoscope Gallery in Groton. Give us a call, 486-9524, to learn more about that. And for young families, we've got our Family Summer Splash coming up on Friday, April 30th at 6 p.m. That's a free event. Families can come in with their young kids from newborns to age 7 and find out what's going on with all of our summer programs. And we'll walk you through some of the fun summer programs that we have in store, and the kids can have a good time. Friday, April 30th at 6. And our art gallery here at Indian Hill, we've got an interesting exhibit from the Shaker Lane Elementary School. It's actually student artwork. Second graders created all this artwork after listening to one of our jazz quartets. So it's art inspired by jazz here at the gallery at Indian Hill, and that's on display till April 23rd. And finally, summer music program registration is ongoing. So if you want to Test this out. If you haven't taken lessons before and you want to see what it's like, summer is a great time to do it. So registration is ongoing for lessons and classes and all kinds of multi-week programs. And our musical theater for ages 8 to 18 this summer, they're going to be doing Annie. So if you like that show, send your 8 to 18-year-old kid over here and have them have a fun time in our summer musical theater. And that's about it, Barbara. I mean, there's lots more. IndianHillMusic.org. You can find out what's going on. Thanks.
Have you ever celebrated Arbor Day? Do you know what it is? I bet a third grader can tell you. The Littleton Country Gardeners make that a very special day for our third graders here in Littleton. A committee from the club works with the town shade tree committee by acquiring small trees to be brought to the school on Arbor Day and handed out to the third grade class. This tradition has been going on for years, and some of you probably received a tree when you were in the third grade. Did you plant it? Have you seen it recently? I hope so. This is one of the many good deeds this club does during the year. When your grade schooler gets his or her tree, plant it and watch it grow like that child. April 30th is Arbor Day, but the Garden Club will do their presentation at 9 o'clock in the morning on April 29th at the Russell Street School. As we speak, the Littleton Country Gardeners are getting ideas ready for the annual plant sale on the Common, and that's 8:30 to 2:30 on May 8th. And our participation in the Memorial Day Parade is May 31st. Yellow is the color to celebrate Littleton Gardeners' 50th anniversary. Look around town, and when you see yellow flowers, you'll know we've been there. And speaking of the Memorial Day Parade, here's our Veterans Agent, Alan McRae, to remind you to come and support this annual event. Alan.
Hi, I'm Alan McRae, the Veterans Agent here in Littleton, and I know it's a bit early, but I just want to remind you that Memorial Day is coming up, and that we have our Memorial Day Parade on May 31st. As usual, we will start at Donald's parking lot, and we kick off at 9:30, and we'll go through all of the memorials here in town, and we'll end up at the West Lawn Cemetery. If you're a veteran, I encourage you to march with us. We have a good-sized veterans unit that marches. If you feel like you can't march that far, but you'd like to participate, we could make sure we get a car for you to ride in, and maybe it'll even be a Jeep. We've had Navy Jeeps and Army Jeeps the last couple of years. So come out, support us, march with us. If you can't march, at least stand and cheer and wave as everybody goes by. Thank you very much.
Note that the town offices will be closed on Patriots Day, April 19th. No Meals on Wheels, and the senior diner will be closed. It's very important. If you want to participate in the government of this town, you'll want to be at the annual town meeting on Monday, May 3rd at 7 p.m. And the town election is Saturday, May 8th at the Littleton Middle School on Russell Street. Here we are again, that time of year when we send our annual donation letter. This donation is put into the Friends of the Council on Aging account and used to help the outreach programs or any requests for any senior our outreach coordinator considers an emergency. Please understand that donations towards the COA van are not part of this request for donations. We hope you'll consider us when you are making your tax-deductible donations. Any amount is greatly appreciated. Checks must be made out to the Friends of the Council on Aging, Post Office Box 134, Littleton, Mass. 01460-0134. At last, a Littleton COA trip. They are going to the Ottawa Tulip Festival on May 14th to the 17th. You'll travel by silver coach to Ottawa, Canada, arriving at the Crown Plaza. A guide will show you the sights, and then you will cruise along the Rideau Canal to view millions of tulips. Last, a visit to Canada's Casino de Hull. Cost is from $479 to $639, so call the COA office for more information. And by the way, I saw our wonderful young Hazel Plummer out having lunch with some friends recently. She is now 102. Here's a hug for you, Hazel, and you go, girl. Now stay with us and meet my guest today, Dr. Patricia Sardella. My guest today is Dr. Patricia Sardella. She's president and founder of Healthcare Consultants of Littleton. In the future, Patricia is going to have a health segment here on Littleton Common. So I wanted to invite her here and introduce you to her, and we're going to talk about what Dr. Sardella does. And first of all, I want to say that I heard about you because Tina Mader, our outreach worker, told me that you had come in and you had done a program for the Council on Aging.
Yep.
She told me that you were very good at this and that I should talk to you. And so I did, and now here you are.
Great.
And going to be part of the show, so I'm really happy about that.
Thanks for having me.
But tell me, how did you start this healthcare consultants business?
I came out of graduate school with a background in medical sociology, which teaches the A to Z's about the healthcare system, not medicine and clinical things.
Okay.
The healthcare system, how to navigate it, what the history is, everything you need to know. I taught for a while at the college level, and then I started making friends with a lot of elderly people. I was teaching fitness part-time, and they would come to me with questions, and I would help them. And this went on for about 3 years. One of my colleagues said to me, well, when are you going to start making a living doing this? Because no one else is doing it, and people really need this kind of advice.
Yeah, especially these days.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The healthcare system is so complex and it's constantly changing, and people really don't know what their options are and really what their next step should be. So I find, so when he said that to me, a little light bulb went off in my head, and I thought, well, okay, I'll see where this goes, and so here I am.
Well, I think that oftentimes they're afraid to ask, you know, questions.
Absolutely.
I think they're afraid of the answers sometimes.
Absolutely. And there's so much that goes into that that question alone. I mean, if I'm dealing with a family of a person, a parent who is ill, they really, first of all, become overwhelmed with emotions. You know, let's say you get a not such a good diagnosis for the parent. They don't know where to go, and they're afraid of physicians. You know, they're afraid of how the parent is going to react. They're afraid of the money aspects. You know, will my insurance do this? Will my insurance? They're afraid of financial planning. What if this? What if my mom needs in-home health care?
Right.
And it overwhelms. It really overwhelms people.
So do you talk to just the seniors? You talk to their families?
Most of the time, the adult children call me about their parents, one or both. And so they end up being my primary contacts and the people with whom I do the planning.
I see.
You know, and then I establish a relationship with the elderly person themselves. It could be a person with a disability. You know, I don't just deal with the elderly. You know.
So do you go to like different councils on aging and talk to them? You go to homes? Do they call you? How do they go about finding you and, you know, talking to you?
I offer free healthcare discussions and question and answer periods like I did here for free at the Councils on Aging. Just informative and something helpful, you know, educationally, so they can learn a bit about being their own advocate. So people hear about me through that. I have some literature all around town, you know, and people call and say, well, I have this situation. Can you help me with that? You know, and various other things here and there.
Do you have any particular story that, you know, about this that you could tell us? Something that's happened, or?
I do. I have Priscilla's story. It's what I call it. And Priscilla was a great friend of mine. She still is. Lives in Concord. And she's an artist, so we used to go to her studio. I'm a great fan of art. And she was a great painter, and I would go and help her in her studio, help her price her paintings and arrange the studio for some shows and things like that. And one day we stopped for a cup of coffee before going to the studio, and she said, "I don't feel good right now. I think you should take me home." So I took her home, got her up to the apartment, and she said, "You know what? I fainted the other day in the middle of the night." She said, "I woke up, walked into the kitchen, and I fainted."
Yeah.
And I said, "Tell me what your symptoms are right now. What are you feeling?" She told me. And I said, "I'm okay. I want you to rest. I'll go home, and I'll call you when I get home." Well, I drove halfway home, and I said, "No. This isn't good." I called her up. I said, "You need to go to the emergency room," because I knew it was some kind of cardiac event. She said, "No."
Uh-oh.
She said, "I'm not going to the emergency room." I said, "Priscilla, why not?" You know, she said, "I'm afraid." Just like what you were saying before.
Right.
I'm afraid.
Right.
And I said, "What if I go with you?" She said, "Okay." So I took her to the emergency room. We spent, I don't know, 14 hours there. She had test after test. She was admitted. 2 days later, she had an operation on her carotid artery, which was 98% blocked.
Oh dear. Yeah.
And she was telling me she wouldn't go to the emergency room.
See? Yeah.
Now there's a perfect example of someone who just will resist.
Right.
And resist.
Well, you know, elderly don't want to go to the hospital. It's almost, you don't mind going when you're young, but when you're older, you're never quite sure what they're going to tell you is going on.
Exactly.
And usually it's not something you want to hear, so you'd rather avoid it. So it's really good to have someone that you can talk to who, you know, is there for you and tells you this is going to be okay, your insurance, they're going to take care of you, all the details that they need to know, and that you have to go.
Right. And I actually do the consulting piece, so that when they first meet me, I say, I can provide your options. You know, I can tell you what you can do, and I can recommend what the best course of action would be. And of course, they make their own decisions. But it saves them so much stress, so much time.
Yeah.
They'll be on the phone forever trying to reach the right person. And I can do this legwork in half the time that it takes them. And everyone that I deal with, the next time I see them, after all this stuff is done, they're so much calmer. And they're so relieved that, number one, somebody's doing it for them, and number two, that person really knows what's the right thing to do, what's not. So it's a real burden off of families and caregivers.
Well, good, but what's the first thing that, okay, so I'm a senior, and, you know, you're going to introduce me to what you do. So now let's start. You're coming to me, and I have a lot of questions, but I don't know where to begin. I don't know where to begin to ask what's going to go on.
Right, and that's a perfect example. When somebody is faced with, let's say, a diagnosis, and it's fairly serious, they would call me if they're overwhelmed by how many things there are to do. They may call me. Your adult, child may call. The first thing we do is provide a 45-minute complimentary consultation.
Okay.
Introduces what exactly it is that a healthcare consultant does, and says, is this something you think, would help you? Then we would have a meeting with the whole family, hopefully. Everybody can put their concerns and their issues out on the table. I would get a sense of just what kinds of medical issues are going on. And after that meeting, go home, do a little research, come up with recommendations, present the recommendations to them, and they decide, do you want to do this? Do you want me to do this? And we proceed from there. And there's never just one issue, especially with the elderly, and you do not look like an elder. And so there's multiple issues. There's never just one illness, or the one illness has triggered something else in the body, and it's really a whole vast organic piece of problems.
Right.
I do something called resistance counseling, because the older a person gets, the less willing they are to admit there's something wrong.
Right.
Less likely to admit that they need some help.
Right.
So often, my first step is to establish a relationship with that person. As an objective third party, I'll sit down and have lunch, and we'll talk about this and say, it's really better for you, overall.
So, tell me, Patricia, this, do you work with all ages? We're talking about seniors here,
Right.
but do you work with all ages?
I do, with the exception of children.
Okay.
Because that's a whole different set of circumstances, different ways of dealing with them. And so anyone who's past the age of 30, I'd say, I would want to work with. Prior to that, we're still dealing basically with some adolescent issues.
Right.
That I don't feel comfortable and qualified to address.
Okay, well, that's good to know. And what about Alzheimer's? Do you deal with people who have Alzheimer's, or actually it's kind of hard to deal with someone with Alzheimer's, but family members, partners, whatever, helping them?
Yes,
Yes.
I do a lot of that.
And there seems like more of it lately too.
I was just going to say, unfortunately, I have families coming to me and caregivers coming to me and saying, I'm seeing this, I'm seeing that, I don't know, what this is. I suspect, maybe, they don't want to say the A word.
Right.
And dealing with Alzheimer's and helping families learn how to deal with Alzheimer's is tough. It's a different set of skills.
It is.
Yeah.
It truly is.
Go ahead.
No, I was going to say I have a story myself, because recently I visited my brother in California, and his wife is into Alzheimer's. He did not want to admit it. When I got there, I had gone through this with my mom, and so when I got there and I noticed what was going on, I told my brother that we needed to talk, and that he needed to understand what was going on. And he told me, I don't want to face it. I don't want to admit that this is happening. And I said, no, you need to start admitting it now so that you can be there for her.
Right.
And
it's very hard for the people closest to them to admit that that person is feeling in that way, and because it's such a daunting.
And I feel he needs somebody, probably like you, that can show him the path that he's going to need to take, one way or another.
And there's a lot of education too that goes on along with teaching somebody how to deal with a loved one with Alzheimer's. So
I did a lot of holding his hand and hugging him after he said,
good thing.
yeah, I guess you're right, because I said, and I am not someone who can be qualified to give him advice, really, like someone like you or like, you know, his physician, doctor, or whatever. But I did tell him that in my estimation, between 1 and 10, she was a 6.
And that's, you know, if you suspect that there's something wrong in that area, there probably is.
Yep, yep. So if he went to you, now, you know, he finally admits that something is going on, where would you start with him?
Well, I would ask a lot of questions and see what, number one, what his perceptions are of what's happening.
Okay.
And then want to meet with, well, let's just say there's 2 people, just he and the patient. Get to know the patient a little bit so I can assess myself, you know, where she may be at. I do most of my dealings with him, you know, and say, this is what I see. Here are some of the ways you might begin. Get a diagnosis as quickly as you can. First, call your financial planner.
Oh.
So there's another thing we do is provide resources for in-home care, insurance issues, financial planning, because after a diagnosis of Alzheimer's, the financial issues change dramatically.
Right.
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 And so that would be the next thing. Give him the options that are available to him in that first phase. Okay. Once that set of tasks are complete, we'll move on to the next phase, and that always is determined by where the patient is at, what happens to be happening. If this person decides, if the patient decides she's going to go take some walks,
Right.
you know,
Right.
and we don't know where she is, well, that will determine one course of action. Taking the keys away from a person who drives takes a long time. That's a lot of strategy. That's a lot of hand-holding, as you called it before. And I provide recommendations, tactics, and things like that. So there's a wide range of things,
Right.
that can help him along.
I wonder if there's more to an Alzheimer's patient, what needs to be done as to someone who has, say, some other disease like cancer or, you know, are there different tactics and balances and strategies and
many strategies, most of which are tailored to each situation, because no 2 people have the same, they may have the same diagnosis, but you've got personal issues that are so varied, and you have to take into consideration the whole family, you know, their lifestyle. Do people live with the patient? Does he or she live alone? What are that person's daily, what is that person's daily routine? You know, so all of these strategies really are tailored to whatever situation and whomever we're working with. And so that's part of the consulting piece.
Okay.
Coming up with these strategies.
Yeah. So you're going to be on Littleton Common now. We're going to have a 5-minute segment of a Health Corner. And you're going to be able to give a little piece of advice, I guess, every month when you are on the program. Do you have any ideas of what you want to start with?
I thought I'd start with something that I call how to talk so your doctor will listen.
I love it.
Yeah, and it's a piece of it's something that I talk often about in front of groups, and it's something that is so simple. And yet, being flustered as we all are when we walk into a doctor's office, it's so helpful. You know, the doctor knows medicine, but you know your own body.
Well, I love this advertisement I've seen lately on television where they show the person at a restaurant asking all kinds of questions about the food, and then they're in their doctor's office and they're silent, and the doctor says, "Do you have any questions?" And it's like, "No." I've seen it happen. I mean, you know, even me. And I think one of the reasons that we do that is because we're afraid. Well, I do have a pain over here. Oh, arm comes off, that's it. You know what I mean? It's like, this is what you expect. You expect that you're going to go in there and say, well, lately, you know, my jaw's been hurting. Yeah, okay, that means you have this terrible whatever, you know.
You're afraid of what the diagnosis is.
You're so afraid of the diagnosis. And so I think that's why we don't talk to our doctors.
That's right. And doctors have an agenda, and they have a script that they learn in medical school. Save them time.
Yep.
You know, so they'll ask a question, they'll get the information they think they need.
Yeah.
But they don't have all the information.
Right.
So it's up to the patient to be able to say, wait a minute, I'm not done. Because Priscilla, at her last doctor's appointment, she went with someone, and my rule is never go to the doctor alone. And she didn't get the chance to tell him that she fainted in the middle of the night.
See?
That's, yes.
And that would have been a big thing.
That would have been very helpful for the physician to know. But for whatever reason, Priscilla didn't remember. She was afraid to ask. The physician didn't give her enough time.
Yeah. So if we tell him the truth, if we tell him everything that's bothering us, it probably would be so much easier on us in the end, because he could pinpoint, yeah, this is what's happening. We're going to take care of it right away. And next month it's going to be a dream because it'll be gone.
Right.
You know.
Right.
But we don't, because we just know it's the big one. You know? Whatever, you know.
Well, and then you have to remember that the more information the physician has, the better picture, you know, he has or she has to know more accurately what it is. And the sooner the proper treatment begins, the less drastic the whatever the diagnosis is. Early treatment is essential in almost every illness.
Yeah, I agree. So. And there you go. That's the big thing. So this will be a help then, that we'll look forward to it, because we'll see, maybe have some ideas and maybe listen to her. And the next time we go to the doctor, he'll understand what's going on, and you won't be so afraid, you know, to talk to him. But I know that's got to be part of it, a big part of it, just being afraid.
Yep.
You know.
And my dear dissertation chair, the first day of class, wrote in big capital red letters, "Never go to the doctor alone." You know, because you can't remember everything you wanted to say.
Yeah.
You can write a list and bring it in, and you're still not going to
This is true too.
remember everything. And then when you leave the physician's office, you say, now, did she say this or did she say that?
Yep.
You know?
Yep.
It's really that much of a personal and emotional experience,
Sure.
intimidating experience.
Yeah.
So,
Or you come out of there and whoever's there with you, says, okay, so what did the doctor say? Oh, I don't know, said something about, you know, I can go home.
my brother and I took my mother for her diagnosis. We knew ahead of time her Alzheimer's diagnosis. And she was there. She was nodding her head. We brought her home. And I sat her down and I said, do you understand what Dr. Senna was saying to you? And she said, well, I'm 80 years old, and, you know, my memory's, you know, just a little worse than it used to be because of my age. Mm-hmm. So I was the one who ended up telling her that she, in fact, had Alzheimer's. In fact, she said, well, it's not like I have Alzheimer's or anything. you know.
Well, Mom, I'm sorry, but yeah, it is.
Yeah.
You know?
Well, there you go. There's another strategy that you want to come up with. There's another skill
Yeah.
that you want to know exactly, you know, how to say something so that the
Right.
person doesn't
My
panic.
brother is going to have to tell his wife,
Yeah.
and I think he's afraid.
Yeah.
I just, it's really too bad.
I'm happy to talk to him over the phone.
Good.
You know,
Yeah.
it's not a problem. I have a client in San Francisco,
Oh,
and
okay.
so any way I can help, almost anyone, a phone call is free.
Good.
So, and I just love to help
And
people.
so we need to know how we can reach you.
I am. I work out of my home.
Okay.
The phone number is 978-621-1065. Feel free to call. I'm usually there from 10 to 6.
Mm-hmm.
I'll leave a message if I'm with someone else, and don't hesitate to ask questions. You know.
Excellent.
Yeah, it doesn't cost you anything, and it doesn't cost me anything. More than happy to help
Well,
anyone.
it will probably help a lot. When you say it won't cost them anything, I think it will. You're right. If they do what they're supposed to do, it won't cost them anything as far as their life is concerned.
Yeah, yeah.
And that's the important thing.
Hopefully, it will help.
Yeah, yeah,
A little bit of information can go a long way.
right. So, well, this has been enjoyable, and I'm looking forward to seeing you on the show each month and
I'm
hearing
looking
what you
forward to
have
it.
to say.
Yep.
And so you out there, look for Patricia Sardella on the Health Corner, the little piece that we're going to have now, and listen carefully because you might learn something, and something good, something that you can use later or pass on too.
Share information, sure.
Right. So till next time, don't forget to hug a senior.
But for the diner right now, for the birthday breakfast, the birthday lunch, the minute. Yeah, let's start all over.
Don't take out my hello.
And it's very effective.
Yeah. Well, it looks like we're getting a call already.
That's okay with me.
I'm afraid that, yes. I can't even believe this.
Okay, well, if that's what you wanted to say.
Excuse me?
Yes, I'd be glad to, because my name is Alan McRae, and I'm just as happy as a clam that I'm here with my honey bun.